Hello there everyone, and welcome back to Empire Total War with the Imperial Destroyer mod. Last time around, I believe we had the Battle of Copenhagen, and we were able to successfully take it. And after which, I continued the war a bit, but obviously since the Danish Navy, I didn't have a navy at the time. I still don't, and the Danish had a big amount of ships. There was no way. I mean, they actually blocked me off, so this army right here couldn't move back to Sweden, and it couldn't continue on across the strait to attack the stack that they moved over there. So there was nothing really for me to do, and luckily for me, the Danish actually agreed to a ceasefire or a peace treaty, really. And so we were at peace with the Danish. I was able to open up all these trade routes, which are now blocked by the Danish, but we'll get to that soon. So I was able to, well, first of all, I calculated that the best idea to protect my ports was to have brigs in them. They have the, they will protect against attacks from the sea, which is good, and they also have lower upkeep than the militiamen, and also they're a lot better than the militiamen. A brig has let's see, 26 guns or something like that. Let's see, 28 guns, 25 I mean, 25 guns, which is good compared to militia. I mean, militia unit is worthless, as we've seen in my campaign to take over Norway. Militia is absolute trash. So there's a complete waste of money when you can have a brig instead. So I've put brigs in all my ports to protect them. First plan was, as the Danish Navy still stayed here, but we weren't at war, so they weren't really blocking me. But in certain ways they were kind of blocking some ports. But now they gave me the opportunity to recruit a bit of a navy. I could load my army from Copenhagen. I could go to Iceland, declare war on the Danish again, and destroy them. So I don't have to deal with them anymore. Problem is, of course, Denmark is part of a grand spanning alliance with all the major European powers, or most of them. The Austrians, the Prussians, the Russians, the English, and then we have the Polish and the Dutch and some German states. And all of them, if you declare war on Denmark, they will, all of them, go ahead and join. And, I mean, the Prussians were bad enough. Now would be laden with Great Britain, which obviously would have been complete disaster, even worse than... I mean, the Prussian was bad enough. Now we have Great Britain. That would be... I think they're the top dog right now. Pretty sure. Anyway, so that one's gonna work. So a preemptive strike against Denmark was not gonna happen, but I imagine that, as same as happened when I took Norway, that Denmark was gonna try to regain their territory. So they were gonna declare war on me again and send a navy. Luckily for me, that's exactly what happened. So I sent a little fleet to Iceland with the troops I can manage, because, well, I'm still trying to hold down Copenhagen, which is a very unhappy town. Anyways, so the Danish, luckily for me, the Danish actually declares war before they move the big army. The big army, which they had, which I believe is replenished at this point, is somewhere around here, to the north of Scotland, somewhere here. So they've moved like one turn. Next turn they will be at sort of Gothenburg, probably, trying to land. And yeah, my navy, my plan was simply, I'm gonna hide my navy down here. Once the Danish declare war, I'm gonna sneak up, scout the area, see if I can land. I'm gonna land the army, and then we'll attack and strike the Danish out at the final remaining area they have, and that will, you know, destroy the navies and destroy everything. So I'll wipe them out in that. So what we're looking at is a fort attack, a fort battle against the Danish on Iceland. And if that fails, I'm not sure what to do, because I mean, I would have to continuously build ships, trying to slowly work down the Danish navy, and at the same time as as this all happening, I'm still dealing with the Russians, which is increasingly, more and more, increasing the presence in Finland. So it's been that the recent battle, I think I killed off 2 full stacks, and the Russian just keep coming. They keep getting more and more men. So the only way I'm going to be able to turn this is if I can have one army stationed here, and another one actually going for Moscow and taking that out. And that will only happen if I'm able to take out the Danish, and in so being able to focus on one front, the Eastern Front. So that's the plan. At the current state, I'm pretty sure the army could actually leave at this point, because I've been able to move the unhappiness or resistance to foreign occupation by, I think, 10 points or something like that. So I've been able to do 10 turns roughly. So we should be able to leave this, move the army, as many troops as I can, focus on the Eastern Front. We'll keep the enemy bogged down trying to go for Finland, and then I'll have a sneaky army bypass St. Petersburg and go directly for Moscow. Luckily for me, Moscow is filled mostly with shit units, or they filled it up with cannons and cavalry, which isn't going to really work for them in a siege. So that's good. I'll take over Moscow, and then I'm not entirely sure if I should just set the place on fire and leave it, or if I should try to keep it. The important part which I want back is St. Petersburg, because I don't want any more enemy navy presence in the Baltic Sea. So I want to recapture St. Petersburg. That's like my main goal. Also, it would be nice to capture this just to keep the enemy actually moving towards St. Petersburg, rather than for some reason marching this way around to attack Finland and moving across here. So I'm not entirely sure why they take that long route. So that's the plan, to strike out the Russians. But this episode is of course going to be the fight on Iceland, and that fight on Iceland is pretty tough as it is. So I was able to get a general, or actually bought the general once I get the troops here, because I decided, you know, they're gonna probably need some moral aid as they're attacking here. So we've got 6 line infantry units, and we've got quite a lot of enemies. So I mean, it's still Danish militia. Militia is pretty easy to beat, but the problem is, of course, that the militia is inside the fort. From inside the fort, they're more or less going to fight to the death, and to add on to that, they've got 3 line infantry units, which is going to be pretty bad. So we have an uphill battle, but I'm pretty sure we can do it. And this, capturing Iceland, could also possibly lead to me exploring possibilities of going possibly, say, into the Americas. Currently, I don't think... Oh yes, I allied with a few nations. I should go over that. I allied with France, and let's see, who else am I allied with? I allied with France and the Ottoman Empire. I'm not relying too much on the Ottoman Empire, but it's good to have 2 good friends that can outbalance. So I'm not alone, especially as the French I'm looking for. They're a good ally. Are there any... I mean, the French hold most of this. But there is certain areas that I could probably go ahead and attack. I'm looking at this one, native area. This one could be attacked by me, possibly. Also, we got this pirate island. That would be nice, because there's sugar. The problem is I would end up in the sphere of the English and the Spanish and so forth, and that could drag me into war with them, which would not be very nice. So possibly one could look at India, but then again India is also very troublesome. But attacking Ceylon could be a possibility. No major scale war in India, so I imagine there's just tons of troops. With this said as well, I've actually, in this time, being able to create my own East India Company, which is traveling here. They managed to sneak around the Danish bastards. And so we have 6 India trade ships. I'm not entirely sure where to send them right now. Obviously, the best trade is with slaves. You get 63 gold. So we want to find slaves. Wherever you get those. Probably from Africa, so they probably at the African coast. Ivory, just a trade post on the other ones, but I imagine we can get slaves from here. Or is it all ivory? Oh, it's, you know what? It says Ivory Coast, not Ivory Post. So here is definitely where we're going. Only Hanover is currently holding anything here, and so there's plenty of slaves to be had, which we're gonna be able to sell to the Americas, and we're gonna make a pretty substantial profit at 63. Probably might send some to get some spies, which would be from this area, very far away. Oh, you know, what's this? An actual... They've made an actual province here. I know that the mod added a few areas, but they've actually added an area here. That's interesting. Is there any more then? Is there... What on earth is this? It's all nations... Huh. Not entirely sure what this is, but I guess it's part of something. I wonder if... Is there any more provinces like that? Would be pretty nice to have more. If maybe they've added something in the Americas. I'm not entirely sure. Enough with that, they say. Why haven't you beaten the Danish yet? Was time then? It's high time to beat the Danish, I'd say. So they have about almost 4,000 men, and I have 2,000. So we're outnumbered 2 to 1. But their guy is called Valfrid Astor, and mine is called Ulrich Haglund. Haglund. Land, actually. Yes. Let's go ahead and fight this battle, shall we? Let's siege the Danish and take over Iceland. So I think you're pretty familiar with this tactic. What we're trying to do is we're trying to go for the flag rather than actually trying to defeat all the Danish troops. So it's about climbing in and getting to the top and capturing the walls, getting in, getting to the flag, and by that measure winning the battle. So without further ado, let's go ahead and start this, shall we? And looking where the troops are, we're gonna actually run over here and we'll see what happens. Right now, normally they actually like put all the men on the front wall, but here they have actually spread them out along these two faces. Looks though like they're moving most of their men over to this side, which will be working in my favor. We'll do the same as before. We'll try to block them. Thing is to as much as possible, try to avoid the Danish line infantry, which are actually now lining up over here, which I don't like at all, and taking charge of quite a few cannons. And when I'm moving in column like this, that means kind of huge targets. What I could do is I could stop here, try to fire on these guys and soften up this area. We need just to keep the enemy in one area, so it doesn't really matter where on the wall they are. It's typical. I'm looking at this. You know what? This could actually work, that the fact that they're giving up this area and they're kind of going for this area. So once this line infantry regiment is passed, we can quickly move over to this side and try to climb up over here, or maybe on the edge. Right, so complete change. Now we're running this way. It's gonna be a few cannon shots here, which is gonna be nasty. Oh shit. Even worse because I made a way too big column. First unit here though. Ooh, cannon fired into all of this. It's not that bad though, as yet. 11 men has died on our side. This unit, which is the one that's already taken a bit of a hit, is going to try to climb here. They're gonna need support of the general. Ooh, there's a few more here. That took only 2 men out of that unit. So yes, pretty safe. These guys will move over here, try to climb up and get this, while you will climb here and stop the enemy from stopping my plan. Nice, the hooks are on the wall. Time to climb and stop them. Ah, it's a Danish line infantry regiment. I was hoping for militia. If they would have fought a militia regiment, I believe these guys would have been able to hold that for much longer. Against a line infantry regiment, they will not at all do the same kind of damage. You know what? If they're gonna shoot at me, that's actually better. Because we want to fight militia. Right. As quickly as bloody possible, try to climb and capture this wall. Oh, it's another Danish line infantry regiment. Right, time to fight, guys. The general is close by. Oh shit, I've completely forgot that I changed to hold out against one of the Russian sieges. I changed it so the battle timer was only 20 minutes and we've already spent about 5 getting into position. So we're gonna have to move in, get the flag within the remaining 14 minutes. But I guess... No, what on earth? They are already broken. What on earth? The Danish... Oh, thank God the thing is captured. Holy shit, how were they able to slaughter... It's because it was line infantry, wasn't it? Somehow they managed to slaughter my line infantry regiment. Oh, they're going in to block me. And it's a line infantry regiment again. Yes, go somewhere else, you stupid Danes. Yeah, run straight into the wall. Right, I want you guys to hurry in and ready to protect the flag. We're gonna get the general in as well because, well, we need him. So one unit is gonna go over there, and one unit is gonna go over there to block off the enemy. One's gonna stay on the point, and one's gonna be back here, and the general's gonna be back here. This one's not gonna fire to start off with. Everyone run to your positions. And let's see, hopefully these guys... Oh, why aren't you running? Oh, I accidentally told everyone to not run. There we go, now running. Oh, nice that they actually... Stupid militia regiment actually stops to fire at us. Will give me time. Come on. Why is only first rank firing? You have to give more fire. Okay, fall back a bit and form a bigger line. We're gonna hold this center, so it's only 1 minute to hold it. I mean, this is kind of a shit way to win this, but... I mean, I'm really fighting against the world here, am I not? What on earth are you guys doing? You are actually at guard mode, toggle guard mode, so you are holding, you are supposed to hold. Oh god, just go ahead and do something. God-awful empire. In some ways I really like Empire, in some other ways it's absolute trash. I'm gonna have to change the battle timer back to an hour. Imagine if this was a proper like battle, that would have not worked at all with this kind of pressure. So we managed to do it still within 9 minutes. And there we are victorious. And Denmark is no more. Surrender now, Danish bastards, because I am victorious. And it's a heroic victory. A fitting end to Denmark that they were cheated out of victory. Right, let's go back to the campaign map, shall we? And here we have the statistics. We only actually manage to kill. Well, it says we killed everyone, so it doesn't really. But right, I'd imagine we killed. I don't know. It says we killed everyone, so we do. Oh, you know what? We can actually see here. But clearly that's is not a correct statistic that the general managed to kill 300 men almost. But there we have it. Denmark is no more. I didn't even get an option to make them my vassal. Luckily for me, they built quite a nice place here. Governor's palace and all. And I can build up this farm, which possibly could give me the second port, which is the only thing really here. So there's a sheep farm. And there's 2 ports, one of which they made a fishery, which I don't think I'm gonna keep. Once we've upgraded the place, or got the other area opened, no, I didn't even need this money. Look at the income they made from this. Well, it's not exactly because the governor's palace is burnt down, but I mean, there can't be a lot more. 200 gold, and somehow they were able to sustain such a navy and such an army and such. Incredible. I mean, it's only 59,000 people living on this stupid island. We're gonna exempt them from tax, which means that this will be ready in 4 turns, which is good. Once that's happened, we will rebuild this into a place where I can build proper ships, and this will be my trade port. We're not gonna keep. We're gonna keep some of the troops, I think. Some men will be continued to be stationed here. I don't know if I even need the general. We could station a single unit, and then the rest will go ahead and turn back to Sweden, or more precisely to our eastern front. And look at that, look at how the area has opened up now and the Danish Navy is gone. Look how nice the place suddenly got. Gonna stop off at Gotland before we move any further. And look at that, as my spy can now move freely. I can. What would I do? Let's go ahead and investigate Europe a bit with the spy. The Hanoverians, I'm actually trading with them. So even though they have quite the sizable force, I'm pretty sure that I will be able to stop any advance of them. If they were to attack, I could just block off this area. And the navy seems to mostly comprise of trade ships, so that's good. I'm not entirely sure what the Portuguese navy is doing here. Well, the Portuguese did at one point declare war on me. But they haven't brought any troops. So with Denmark gone, that means that my trade routes should open, and my trade income just boosted up to 3,000, meaning that I have a total income, or a total plus. So next turn I will get 5,000, which is pretty darn good. The only thing is France and Austria that we're not able to trade with out of all that money. And we'll get even more money once I get the slave gold as well. Maybe I shouldn't be so excited about trading in people, but it's a big business. And yeah, that's it for this episode, I think. Until the next one, I'll continue to just hold on to this, and at the start of the next one, we'll jump in when I'm actually ready to gain some ground on the Russians. But at that point, we should be worried about, say, the Prussians, because Prussians are unfriendly with us, and you gain minus points for territorial expansion. So the more territory I gain, the more people will dislike me. So we can see, I mean, I have few friends in Europe, but the more territory I gain, the less people will like me. So England doesn't like me, mostly because I'm allied with the French, which I got a mighty minus 55 for. Dishonoring treaties, I'm not entirely sure what that's for. Territorial expansion, the English don't actually care. Minus 7, because it's in an area which they have no interest in. So it's only minus 7, they have no interest at all. While as the Prussians, I gain a minus, let's see, territorial expansion 25, so it's more, they're more interested in the territory I have. And territorial minus 31 for the Russians, and so forth. Anyways, this was it. Not very exciting, but we ended off the Danish. Probably best to do it on camera and off camera, I thought. And yeah, there we have it. Next time around, hopefully we'll have a just as glorious campaign as I had towards taking Norway. We'll have the same kind of battles going on towards Moscow. And I really like the fact that the enemy is actually moved up to control this bridge, even though it's not a lot of troops. It's still something. And I mean, it's high time to deal with the Russians, given the armies they're pushing up from there. And looking at how it's going, I mean, most likely my plan to, well, it'll probably be a knockout where I can sign peace with the Russians, or at least a temporary ceasefire, give me some breathing space, and possibly set up so that the army in Moscow is fully replenished, and that since I have gonna have two armies free, the other one can have a glorious campaign towards the Polish. But the closer into Europe we get, and especially closing in on Prussia, that's definitely not good. We could have an interesting battle if we went for Kurland. So if we attacked through here, and then from here onto Vilnius, or maybe from here on directly to Warsaw, smite them that way. But then we get very close to Austria and stuff. The problem is, of course, as much as I gain territory, it opens up new fronts. And most likely everyone more or less hates me. The mod really stacks everything against you, so, or well, at least the difficulty rate I'm playing at, they really stack it against you. So yeah, I've talked on for way too long. Let's go ahead and end this one. I've talked a bit of the strategy, so you know a bit what's going on. And yes, hopefully you guys enjoy this, and hopefully I'll see you guys for the next one. Bye!